voice. Ready?
Ready to go?
Well, welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. Just wrapped up Delcambre football player interviews. Sitting here in the shrimp capital of the world, Delcambre, Louisiana. I get to talk a little football this evening with my good friend, Coach Corey Brody, head football coach of the Delcambre Panthers. You know tonight's interview is going to be phenomenal because whenever I think back to the UTL Stadium tour, Coach Brody, always one of my favorite interviews. It ain't just talking football here. It's talking to a really good friend of mine, and what an honor it is to be here today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not hit the like and share, do that now because you're in for a treat these next couple hours. Ladies and gentlemen, head football coach, Coach Corey Brody, thank you for having me here on the tour.
I appreciate you coming down. It's always a pleasure. You always invite anywhere I'm at. So I look forward to this. This is kind of to me, when we have these interviews, it kind of clicks that football season's around the corner. So it gets me excited.
Coach, the countdown's on. I think we're 57 days and counting for me wise. I mean, I'm going on a Thursday night, but you guys kick it off week 1 Friday night football. But I know you're gonna be coach's office. You're gonna be sit back in your chair and you're gonna be like, all right, Under the Lights is live on a Thursday night. Let me see who's playing.
Oh yeah, Thursday night, Wednesday night when y'all go on. I'm a big fan. I enjoy the work you do. Anytime we can highlight a lot of these athletes in the area, I think it's a great thing that y'all do for sure.
And Coach, Wednesday nights, I was told earlier in the week, keep picking against them because we're good luck. What about yourself? Here we are. Can we break the streak? That's going to be the topic of tonight's show. We ain't talking Panther football. We're talking break the streak.
The streak, I was talking to some coaches today. I think, sad to say, I think we're 0-4 when you've been at games, but by combined, is it 12 points?
Coach, you lost by 1. You lost by 2. You've lost by
4 and 3.
4 and 3.
Less than 12. Not a math major, but it's close. It's been some really, really good games, but hopefully we can be on the other side of that.
So we're going to win by more than 12 this year then.
There we go. Beat the point differential.
Speaking into existence. Coach, your baseball program here, give me the head coach's name or the assistant coach's name real quick.
Coach Damien and Coach Rob both coach the baseball team. Coach Rob's here on campus. Coach Damien actually works within the parish, but he does some adaptive PE stuff, so he's kind of all over the
Okay, well, I need you to put in a favor and tell them baseball season, Under the Lights wants to stream a baseball game because a respected Division IV program, I would love to have them.
And you're in for a treat. I mean, don't hold me to it, but I believe they were seniorless last year as far as who was on the field. Had a really good second-round game where they lost by 1 run, so expectations, not only for football but for baseball are super high this year.
I got to make the trip. I got to see the team in person. They're always making a run in Division IV, so I got to get down here. You put in a good word for me now.
I got you. I'll get you down here. We'll get some good food in you too.
Hey, we don't pass up on food now. Don't say that too loud because Uncle Gary might be listening.
Oh Lord, yeah, he can share a plate with me.
Uncle Gary, shout out Mr. Wildman himself. Enough of that. I told you, we can go on, we can just take off running with this sucker, and you never know where we're going to end up. Enough of that, Coach. Let's get down to business. Players, just got done wrapped up with them. You gave me 5 guys here. How do you think they represented your program wearing the black jerseys today? Came on the afternoon. They don't have to be here. A lot of them got jobs. A lot of them been working hard all day. I mean, 6:30, 7 o'clock this morning, they're pushing sleds.
Yep.
I mean, it's a long day.
Literally.
And they're sitting here talking a little football with me. How proud of you are that group, and how you think they represented the program today?
I'm really proud of them. I think I could have gave a few pointers on some interview, ways to answer questions and not being so nervous. But we got a few soft-spoken ones that like to show what they can do on the field, and we got a few of them that I guess are more comfortable talking. But like I said, just proud of those guys. This is a place and kids where the other day most of the same group of kids came, help at the shrimp building, move some freezers and fridges and stuff like that. So just those guys kind of putting not only football as a priority, but the community and all the extra stuff really means a lot to me.
Coach, let's go to you. The decision, the hiring process, and the emotions of the announcement. Here we are again.
Yeah. Like you said, apparently I look really good in black because that seems to be a trend anywhere I go. You know, we're a black shirt, black uniform team. But
so walk me through that decision. You're at Lakeshore. Mm-hmm. You're under a phenomenal coach in the state of Louisiana over there with Coach Indes. When did the opportunity present itself and you said, I'm ready again?
You know, I think last year I really just wanted to get back to coaching football. I thought I had a lot to learn. When I accepted the job at Kavanaugh, I was 29 years old. At that point, I probably thought I knew a lot more than I did, which I did learn a lot over there. A lot of it was very good. Some of it was a humbling experience, but just going to work under not only my uncle, but a guy that's won over 200 football games and is going to be in the Louisiana Hall of Fame one day. Just being able to be around him every day and pick up some pointers, I really thought I was ready again to come back closer to where I grew up and try to lead a program once again.
So you take off to Lakeshore. You become the defensive coordinator. I got to ask you, was this a approach mental-wise for you? You were the head coach. Now you're taking a step down to go be an assistant. But did you use Lakeshore as a mental thing to make sure you understood why you're doing this?
Yeah, you know, I don't think it's a big secret. At one point, the thought of me getting out of coaching in general came into my mind.
Right.
But it was just something that I knew was in my blood. You know, honestly, I think every coach around after the season, January, February, we think to ourselves, why did we do this for the past 4 months? And then as time goes, you know, we realize we do it because it's a calling. I think it's just like any other job that's a public servant. I think it's just something you were kind of born into. But going to Lakeshore was awesome for the simple fact of I was working under my uncle, obviously, but he really gave me a lot of reins to kind of make my own decisions and, you know, game prep like I've always game prepped and stuff like that. And obviously he was the guy that, you know, signed off at the end of it and did all that type of stuff. But not only working for him, I was working with one of my best friends over there that he's the offensive line assistant head coach. And then I met really the whole coaching staff was awesome. And some of them, Alex Voorhees and Bo Briner, we still talk every single day. I kind of joke, me and Alex talk on the way to workouts every day while I drink my coffee. So just being around guys that kind of rejuvenated my spirit and my love for the football game, and the kids and the admin over there were awesome. So it was kind of my last, like, do I really want to do this? Do I, you know, and it just solidified everything that I already knew since I was 4 years old, that I think I was put on this earth to lead young men and try to set an example for them.
Great. I'm glad to see you still with the whistle. Coach, your approach to year one here as a head coach compared to your first head coaching job, what's the biggest difference? Your approach year one, knowing that here we are again as a head coach.
I think the biggest difference.
Lean right here.
I think the biggest difference with this is I got the experience of.
Wait, I'm listening.
Yeah. I got the experience of knowing that I don't know everything, knowing that I need to listen to other people, I need to make phone calls, I need to explore other avenues of doing things from other coaches. You know, for example, and I go back to last year at Lakeshore, my Uncle Brent, who, you know, I think the world of in coaching and think he's one of the best. Almost every day he was on the phone with another coach trying to figure out different schemes and asking advice and things like that. So just coming here and be able to talk to other coaches, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and trying to implement what I want to do along with listening to those guys of what's worked for them and how these kids are. I think it sped up the process of getting to know what needs to be done.
Coach, you get boots on the ground here, and you get settled in, and now you got to go address the team. What was said that day, Coach? Was it an easy transition from that point on? What did you tell the kids?
It was a funny story. I walk in, and Coach Darcell, who was the AD last year, she's Rick's mom, Coach Darcy's daughter. She grew up in coaching, and they know our family. She introduced me as Coach Craig Brody, which is my dad.
Okay.
So the coaches got a good laugh at it, so I feel like it kind of thinned the air a little bit. But basically, I just looked everybody in the eye and said, what we want to do and what we need to do needs to be two different things. Everybody wants to win, but what we need to do is come in and take it step by step. We can't look at it as we want to have a winning record. Because if you go into that mindset week one and that's all you're thinking about, and you didn't take those necessary steps during the summer, you're going to start slow. And when I don't care how good you end, each game counts the same for power rankings and everything else. So I just told them from now on it's going to be a step-by-step process that everybody needs to buy into. So and they've responded well with that.
Easy transition, or it's a lot harder than what it was back then?
I thought it was an easy transition. My first job when I transitioned in, I was following a legend over there. I think the biggest thing too is when I got my first job, we had a really young team that I ended up starting at the end of the year 13 sophomores my second year. This year, I think this is the year that there is no rebuilding. There's no excuses anymore. A lot of these guys, almost everybody on the team has been 2- and 3-year starters. So
correct.
It needs to be there. There is no building coming into this year. It's not a now or never thing, but now is definitely a time to where we can elevate the program.
Okay. Coach, let's talk about this. So we're here at Delcambre. How soon did you turn on last year's film, and what were some things that maybe made you sit up in your chair?
As soon as I got huddle, I turned it on. If you know anything about me or ask my wife, I still watch huddle every day. I can tell you.
So this is before you even got on campus.
Before I got on campus, as soon as I got that huddle log in, I was in it. But the biggest thing to me is the talent and the toughness of the kids playing was there, which was an awesome thing to see. I think the little things that I knew we needed to improve on. There was a lot of fumbled snaps, a lot of untimely turnovers. There were a few 3rd and 20s given up in the passing game. So just kind of seeing if 5 to 10 plays go differently, it's a winning record last year.
Okay.
So and the kids know that, and just kind of harping on that, and I think that's what keeps them going during summer workouts. When I got here, the biggest thing was being behind the line when we start. A lot of kids, they were on the line, they were in front of the line, just the little bitty things, and when you can relate it to actual plays in the season, it resonates with them.
So what were some areas you wanted to focus on and address once you got all the guys back together? Because we're a small school here, so a lot of guys are playing both multiple sports throughout the year.
Yeah.
You finally get them all together, and you can go. Areas you wanted to focus on?
Weight room was the number one area. I don't think it was a big weight room warrior mentality, and I was super excited as soon as the baseball team lost out in the playoffs. The first thing the coaches told me was like, Coach, we need to get these kids in the weight room now. We need to get them in all year, and if we're just a little bigger and faster, that might have been the difference between a 2-1 baseball playoff loss, and also it might have been the difference between 4-6 and 6-4 last year. So
okay.
It was great because I think my understanding of what needed to be done was also a lot of assistant coaches.
With such a late start, the hardest you've worked as a coach in a very long time.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of different things. Everybody talks about how's practice, how's this, but there's a lot of different pieces that need to move to get the football program going. We ended up getting new helmets this year, stuff like that, and just developing we had to kind of go on the run for them to buy into my summer system. And it took a couple days, but they understood the importance of, one, being here every day, being here on time, and just developing a routine. I think we live in a world where everything's so quick and fast-paced and instant gratification that we really need to harp to these guys that it's going to improve, it's going to take place, but we just have to take those steps and not get frustrated when it doesn't happen immediately.
There you go. Coach, 4 years old, you knew it then. What made you want to become a coach?
I really just I grew up a coach's son, and I just love the Friday nights. I think the biggest travesty now is the ball boys don't get to run on the field. I love carrying the ball. You remember when you used to hand the ref, ball to the ref. But just being on the sidelines my whole life, seeing the connections that my dad made with his players, and just cool things like when we go to the gas station or store, it was, hey, coach, or, guys that hadn't seen him in 10, 15 years that still remember a lot of memories that they made, and just being a huge impact on the community was you always enjoy coaching football, but I think it's all the little things that keep you in it.
Coach, every year is different. How have you grown as a coach?
I think I've become a little more patient and try to understand that it's not what I know, but it's what the kids know. Obviously the coaching staff is going to be the smartest people on the sidelines and everything else, but just having that patience and realizing that these kids, it needs to translate to the kids because they're the ones playing on Friday night, and just getting to know a new generation of kids coming in and that type of stuff has been a big transition. And sometimes you don't have to be that old school guy all the time and be negative about a lot of things. You got to get to know who you're coaching and what they can handle and how they respond.
This time, let's introduce your 2025 Delcambre Panther coaching staff. Also, are you bringing any old faces?
I'm bringing in one really old face. My dad's coming. He's going to be the defensive coordinator for me this year.
Good.
If he's watching right now.
So your dad's back on.
My dad's back.
Staff? Good. I enjoyed seeing y'all on the sideline together a couple years ago.
Yep, he's back. Coach TJ Saunier. He's a die-hard Delcambre guy. He's going to be my offensive line coach. Kind of assistant offensive coordinator. He helps me a lot with the run game stuff. His son, Colt Saunier, teaches 8th grade science over here. He's going to be coaching linebackers and running backs. Coach Rob and Coach Damien are the two baseball coaches. Coach Rob's going to be coaching quarterbacks. Coach Damien is coaching tight ends. Coach Brad, he's also the powerlifting coach. He's going to be coaching corners. Those guys have all been back besides my dad. And then Coach Savion Moe, he's going to be our new basketball coach. He's also coaching wide receivers. And then we also have Coach Jake Broussard, who Coach Jake is he's our utility guy. He's a wood shop teacher over here. He makes sure everything's ready with film, grass, paint. He helps in the weight room. He drives the bus. He's the Booby Miles of our coaching staff. So it's been really, really good so far. And I think what's special is a lot of these guys have grown up in Delcambre and they want to see the program succeed. So kind of having that Panther pride is huge in the coaching staff.
Good. Elton, scrimmage, jamboree.
Yeah, jamboree's going to be over here. We're going to be playing Highland Baptist.
Okay. Scrimmage, jamboree, what do you want to see?
I love watching the film against Eldon. It reminded me a lot of when I was at Kaplan playing Eunice. They're going to be I formation. They're going to be, we're running right at your face and see if you can stop it. So I think that was huge for us when I was at Kaplan playing Eunice, because it was two teams that were saying, we're going to get 4 yards and good luck stopping it. The thing about Eldon is they do have some really good athletes at running back, but I think it's a really good thing when you play a physical, tough team with a veteran coach that is really going to test you early and see where you need to make some improvements.
Getting off to a good start. Why is that so important with the new group, with the new system?
I've always, the first game has always been the most important to me. When you become a coach, they say, what game are you looking forward to? Centerville's the only game we can control because it's week 1.
Yeah.
Last year it was I know you remember week 1 was a mud storm in most places that didn't have turf. The game didn't go Delcam's way. But I think, again, there were plays to be made in that game that weren't made, and I think the kids know that. It's been a game they've been playing week 1 for a while. So just starting off 1-0, only half the teams in the state are able to do that. So if we can do that and build some confidence and just have the kids understand that it is possible to do, then I think it's going to get rolling.
Once the summer wraps up and we're playing games here, you look back. How does this team win the summer?
I think by attendance. I mean, a lot of these guys, every one of these guys that I brought today, Tucker might have missed one, but he even came to a workout, then went on the vacation after the workout, and he might have missed one. But all these guys have been 100% at workouts, and I think that if the guys that are going to lead the team are leading by example and coming every day, and they're the first guys in line for workouts and that type of stuff, and I think the rest of it follows. So, I think Nick Saban said it before: if your hardest workers are your best players, you're usually gonna have a pretty good team. So, just developing that mentality of the first thing you got to do is wake up in the morning. We take roll at 6:15. I know for some of these guys, they work from the end of workouts to sundown, and then they got to set their alarm at 5:30, 5:15, eat breakfast, and come. That's huge, just having that high attendance rate.
Coach, a lot of these guys before might have not seen the style of weight room that you presented this summer. So talk to me about some of those weight room rules and some truths that you brought to the table.
Yeah, it's just we just got to understand, and we talked about it. It's a workspace. It's not somewhere where the locker room after workouts is where they can tell stories, joke, listen to their music, whatever they got to do. But that's a place where it starts to win football games. And I've been really blessed that I'll be honest with you. I make the workouts when we go in there. I'm rarely in the weight room because my assistant coaches are doing such a good job. I'm an outside guy. I'm running most of the stuff outside, but just poking my head in there and seeing what the assistants are doing with them and continuing that mentality from day one has been awesome.
Coach, what does success look like in year 1 beyond wins and losses?
I think success looks like at really good programs, the next group of kids don't want to let down the guys that came before them. So if our upperclassmen are all doing the right things, and of course that comes with winning games and that type of stuff, but developing that pride, and it's important to do this for the Delcambre community. If we can translate that from the senior class to the junior class to the sophomore class to the freshman class, that's just going to motivate people not only to stick around here, but that's going to motivate them to be the ones where, okay, they set the standard, now we need to go and continue that tradition and try to elevate it.
Spoke with the players. It became an ongoing theme throughout the interview. It was the plays. They kept mentioning. So how are you helping players adjust to a new playbook or the scheme?
I think, listening to them, I think they know the plays a lot better than they're coming off. They want it to be perfect. Mm-hmm. And, we run one defensive front, and then we change it to another, but it's all rules-based. And they're doing a really good job with it because TJ's got the offensive line doing spectacular. I think the biggest thing right now is we have some really dynamic athletes that have to learn multiple positions. So once they're done learning the fullback position, they need to learn wing. Yeah. And then you talk to a guy, Lincoln Delcambre. Lincoln has been, so far this summer, he's been the quarterback, he's been a wing back, he's been the running back, he's been the slot, and he's been the outside receiver. So just getting them to understand that the more things that in the offense, the better it's going to help everybody.
Coach, if people only remember one thing about your first year here, what do you hope it is?
I hope it's changed. I hope it's change in the way we're going to continue to have success over here. I don't want this to be, and I think it's a really successful year, but I want it to be change and growth where it's just not a lightning in a bottle type deal. I want people to know that I'm really trying to reach these kids to continue the pride that Delcambre has, because they got a lot of people over here that care a lot about their Panthers, and we just want to put the best show on for them, and these kids represent the community in the best way they can.
Coach, what challenges have you faced in getting everyone to buy into your vision, whether it's players, coaches, or even the parents?
I think parents have been awesome so far. I think with the kids, it was that first week, first couple of days, they were pretty sore, and just continuing to come back. And the hardest thing about summer, especially for some of these younger guys, is they haven't seen the success that comes from working hard. So just getting them to trust it, summer's a long time. These kids go to school. A lot of them, you have somebody like Ricks who played 4 sports with Delcambre this year, where you kind of get a week off and then it's like, all right, we're back to it. So
correct.
Just getting them to buy into this is going to pan out in the way we want it if we put in what we need to put in.
It's just a waiting game of it's gonna pay off, and when it does pay off, I can't wait for that day type of mentality.
Correct.
Are there any players that have really stepped up during this transition that you can speak about?
A lot of these guys that you were just talking to, like I said, Ricks has been one. They talked a lot about Navy. Navy's going to be a sophomore for us that started as a freshman last year, as far as getting the weight room and that type of stuff. Really, our whole offensive line, those guys have been 2- and 3-year starters coming back. But just a lot of personal conversations about, I think they need to know what's expected of them. And I think now that they do, they kind of see a vision of how it's going. But it doesn't take very long to kind of recognize your leaders and who people look to. So they've been doing a really good job at that.
Coach, how are you trying to bring more excitement or energy to this program?
I think, honestly, the excitement is going to come when the season starts and when we start to string a few wins together. I mean, like I said, we live in a world where you can do a lot of things on a Friday night. And you can, I feel like growing up it was like everybody went to a game on Friday night. But we need to give people a reason to come to Delcambre, Louisiana to watch a football game. So that's going to be very exciting. I know that they packed this stadium to the brim, but not only packed the stadium, but just had that feeling maybe on Thursday night, like, man, we get to go to a Delcambre football game. We're doing really well. The kids are working hard, just bringing that whole excitement, not just from 7 to 10 on Friday, but maybe week long and nights before.
Do you feel, and don't be mad at me about these questions now.
I got you.
Coach, do you feel pressure to win right away, or are you focused on the long-term growth here at Delcambre?
I think a little both. I've never felt like I've had any excuse not to be successful. To be honest with you, I've done my research on what was going to be on this football team, and it's a big reason why I took the job. I think if you don't feel pressure about being successful, then you're not really much of a competitor. So I think that's good to – if you have pressure, that means you have expectations. So, and we're setting expectations high. So, I like to welcome the pressure, and, I might cut some hours of my sleep during the week, but I think that's what kind of gets me going.
Do you build your scheme around your players, or do you make the players fit your scheme?
So I always believe that it's a little bit of both, but I'm not a big fan of changing systems every year because I think kids need to feel comfortable in what they're doing. Okay. This team, another check mark on my list was their wing T team. We're going to be in the gun, but we're going to run gun T. So a lot of the run plays are the same and that type of stuff, and I think it fits our style and what we want to do. But everywhere I've been, I kind of believed in the system they were running before. So I guess I've always been pretty lucky in what we were trying to do.
Coach, I got to ask you about this. Some of the guys mentioned it in their interview, so it's not just me saying it. Say we don't really watch film, but I know that's going to change. How much film do you watch throughout a week? Also, the approach to teaching kids the proper way to watch a film.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Going back to how do you watch film, I think you have to let the kids know. I think a lot of people when they watch, they just want to watch the whole game. I think it's important to teach the guys, if you're setting an edge on defense, like this is what you need to be watching. This is what you need to be doing. This is how you operate it. I think huddle's great too because I've done it before where I've printed out the minutes of how many kids have watched and you post it on the locker room. I mean, they can see, you get the best pressure with kids is peer pressure, right? Like, hey man, why you only watch 3 minutes of film this week? So getting them to buy into the importance of that is critical. Me personally, endless amount of film. I mean, I'm a huddle junkie, so that's never been a real issue with me. But I agree. That's something we've talked about before too. Is just, we started filming 7-on-7. I see the minutes going up and that type of stuff. But I think it's important to teach them how to watch film and not just let it play and watch the whole thing.
Your biggest question mark going into the season, what would it be?
Biggest question mark, I think it's how we're going to handle when things don't exactly go our way. We had a big discussion about that today. Just when 2 weeks ago we did really, really well in 7-on-7. Today, not as well. And you could see the energy kind of lowering a little bit, like, man, things are going bad, like, what do we do?
Yeah.
So we just talked about, there's about 120 plays in a football game. We can't let play 1 go all the way to play 20 and just string together bad drives consecutively. So that's something that I say concerns me, but we have a lot of time to fix. Is just the mentality of people stepping up and saying, we lost 2 yards in this play, it's fine. We're going to gain 8 next play.
There you go.
So that's the biggest thing we actually talked about today.
Give me a position group on this football team that, in your opinion, needs to take the biggest leap this offseason, this summer.
I think probably the defensive backs, just because we're going to have a lot of new guys there. But I also think that our biggest question mark is also a lot of our best athletes that can end up being a huge strength for us. That, and just like everywhere else that has a small school, just developing depth. I think there's a lot of places right now, if you get a few guys hurt, you just got to be able to have guys that know what they're doing when they're called upon. I've never coached a team where all 22 starters made the entire season at the same position. So just developing that depth and camaraderie in the secondary is something that needs to be built. But like I said, we got some really good athletes back there, so that can end up being one of our strengths.
Well, let me ask you this, Tim. How do you get your players to understand not just what to do, but why they are doing it?
The why, I think the why goes back to watching film. I think you need to explain to them, we're doing this because of this. I have things I call non-negotiables. If we gotta block this gap, this guy can't do this no matter what you do. We're going to play people that are going to be stronger and faster than us and that type of stuff. But as long as we set those non-negotiables and rules, it should all work out for us.
Describe an unsung hero and who could take on that role this year.
I really think Logan Mouton is going to be a big guy for us. I say he's an unsung hero. He might be an unsung hero to people that don't know about him, but he's going to be a 3-year starter. He's a senior. He's going to be playing guard and some D-line for us. And he's just a guy that I feel like when questions arise or things might get hairy on what to do, you kind of see those eyes shift to him like, are we good, Logan? And he kind of explains it to him. Also, Carson, our center, is that type of guy. So we have some really good young offensive linemen, but, with youth comes, some hesitation and stuff like that. So having some guys that are older is great. And when I say young, we have a tackle that is a sophomore, but he's also going to be a 3-year starter.
Right.
So, even though some of them have some youth, they're still able to. They've had playing time.
Coach, not often when you get on campus, I'm sure this was a big concern for you, and maybe you wanted to address it, find out what's going on, but I'm sure you got on campus and said, all right, tell me about our feeder program. Tell me about our youth football here.
Yeah.
Is that something that you that clicked early for you?
Yeah, and I've been told we have a lot of below sixth grade, a lot of parents that are involved with flag football and stuff like that, getting into it. And the good thing about our feeder program is when you walk into school and take a left, they're right there.
Okay.
It's all on the same campus. So I think it's really good just for them to see me in school, be able to talk to them. I think at that age, too, you have a lot of questions about, do I want to play football? Do I want to play baseball? Do I want to play basketball? And just being able to answer some of those questions for those guys is going to be big, for the whole school, for me, for baseball, everything else. But just having them all on the same campus is a big thing.
Good. What's the most difficult thing to overcome in this season? Is it a word about grades, injuries, the outside noise, something else?
I think the biggest thing to overcome for us is just going to be our mental mindset of what we're going to be able to do. Grades, this is a great academic school.
Yep.
Miss Helms, they don't play with grades. So I think the kids have a really good understanding. I think one of them mentioned it earlier that you need to make the grades to be able to play football. And just staying on top of those guys, and they might play football for another couple of years, but their education and academics and just knowledge of getting things done is going to carry them for the rest of their life.
Are we finished with fundraisers? Any coming up?
We got a few coming up, kind of in the works right now. We're going to have a shrimp fry coming up pretty soon. We're going to go work the shrimp festival August 15th.
Are you going to catch the shrimp?
No, I will not catch a shrimp. I'm gonna help clean, and I'm gonna do my part, but I'm gonna leave that to the experts. So
okay.
if you need any food, come on over. We're working with Red Zone a little bit right now to figure out what we're gonna do with some stuff like that. But later on, maybe some Super Bowl squares and things like that. So just trying to get the money all where it needs to be. We do a athletic fund where everybody kind of joins in, because it is a lot of people play a lot of sports.
Correct.
So we kind of put that all into one fund and distribute it, as need be. So we got a lot of people that want to be involved, and I think we're going to get a lot of support from that.
Booster Club?
Coach Jake, they have it's called a Pantherade. It's their second year. They actually put on their second annual golf tournament. He had 42 teams in a three-man scramble. So raised a lot of money with that, and it was good for me because the teams got full before I could put in my own team, but that's all right. But being able to ride around and meet everybody and kind of put a name to the face was really good.
Under the lights, covering a Panther football game this year. What's that mean to you?
Hopefully it means a win. Hopefully it means we can break the streak. Hopefully it means y'all can come in here and experience everything that's good about Delcambre High School. It's on a Thursday night, which, hopefully we can be the first team to be 4-0 in the state, considering we're playing on a Thursday.
There you go. And if you can't make it on a Thursday night, we highly recommend you in the bleachers.
Yes, sir.
Because we're always available on replay. But if you can't make it, you're working offshore, you have an outlet that night.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
Let's break the streak.
We got it. We got to.
Because I might not hear from you for another 3 years.
Oh, yeah. I don't like talking to people when we lose. When my wife's learned that firsthand.
Coach, let's go to your quarterback. 2 of them were sitting with me today.
Mm-hmm.
Short time period with them. You watched the film from a year ago. What has stood out to you about those guys? You had some 7-on-7, but until we get game action, you can only go on so much.
Yeah, Rick's, I had the most film on, obviously. He's going to be a 3-year guy. He started as a freshman. Watching film on Rick's as a freshman, I'd say he was about 5'4", 130 pounds. So he got to get, his bruises and beat up a little bit. And the improvement between his freshman and sophomore year was huge. And, coming into year 3, Coach Darcy Delcambre's his grandfather. His dad played college football. His mom's a 6-time All-State state champion track athlete.
Come on.
So he's got the genetics, he's got the understanding of what to do. And then here comes Lincoln, who also is our quarterback, but Lincoln can play. The special thing about Lincoln and Ricks, Ricks has played all kind of different positions too. We're finding ways to get both those guys on the field.
Yeah.
Where Lincoln can come in at quarterback, Ricks can go to receiver, Ricks can come in, Lincoln can go to running back, receiver.
Okay.
And I think it's just a way of we don't have one that's like, he's going to pass the ball, he's going to run the ball. They're both very dynamic at both. And it's been awesome with them because they both want to be the guy 100% of the time. I've never heard them complain. I've never heard them do anything but be great. And they're 100% attendance at workouts. They know the playbook. Lincoln's going to be our starting free safety as well. So just having those guys not make it to where the locker room's divided. We want this guy. We want this guy. So multi-position athletes and being able to play quarterback is going to be amazing for us.
Let's go to the running back position, Coach. Heard you got a guy, but the guys told me you got 3 that could go at any moment this year. Who's the guy, or do we have 3 that can go?
We have a few that can go. Nate's the one.
You got a good one coming back from a year ago, don't you?
Yes, Hugo Morales. He's rushed for over 1,000 yards last year in the wing T offense. He's going to be the guy to probably get a lot of the carries at first. The reason is Navy and Nate are also excellent running backs. Nate's going to be a senior. Navy's going to be a sophomore. But they're also going to be our 2 starting linebackers.
Got to play both sides.
So they're going to kind of rotate at one of the wing backs. But Navy, man, watching film on him, I'm like, who's that guy? Every time I watch film, is every game, I'm like, who's 18? Who's 18? And when I found out he was a freshman last year,
wow.
I mean, that was amazing. And Navy's one of those guys, I think he has a lot of aspirations, not only to be great here, but, carry on and try to play football at the next level. And then Nate's just a really, really hard worker that, every day he leaves here, he puts on his jeans and boots and goes to work, and he crushes in the weight room. His stamina's through the roof. He's a never get tired guy. So we got 3 guys that can really go, and then, like I said, Lincoln can play that as well.
Throw one of them quarterbacks at that position. So you've seen a lot of great backs in your time, Coach. When you got here to campus and you got your hands on these guys, what were some things that you wanted to tweak? Was it vision-wise, hitting the right hole, or, proper way to hold the football? Those little things do add up.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of comparisons. One of them, and it's funny because they have the same number. Hugo reminds me a lot of Dalen Landry that I had at Kaplan that had 2 years in a row over 1,000 yards. They're both number 15. They both play the same position. But it's funny because Dalen was one of those guys that you had to ask him to shake somebody because he wanted to run through their chest. Hugo's kind of has the same mentality.
Okay.
That if there's a free safety coming downhill, it's not – most of the time it's not going to be a juke move. It's going to be I'm getting 5 more yards running through you. Navy reminds me a lot of Caden Campisi. He's just a football guy. He's one of those guys, he don't want to come off the field. He wants to hit the hole hard. He wants to do all that type of stuff. And it's been great. It's been great. And then when you combine those 2, there's another guy at Lakeshore, Audrey Grow. That was kind of a mix between that. That's kind of like Nate. Just guys that don't want to get off the field. They just want to play as much football and get the ball as many times as they can to help the team.
Coach, I've known you for quite a few years now, and when you think about the receiver room, they got to be the best blockers on the field.
Yes.
They've got to train and accept those roles. But could we see that those receiver room this year have a big how you say that, Coach? Have a big package in the playbook.
Yeah, I'm very, very, very happy with my receiving room right now. We do a really good job catching the ball. I know you've seen the weather every day. It's raining out there and it's wet, and there's no excuses, and we'll slip and we'll get up and we'll catch the ball. But Tucker's been great for us. We got another one, Trey, that didn't play last year that's coming back. Big baseball guy. He's going to play slot receiver for us. He's been great. We have Andre Venable, who's been really outstanding out there. And we have a freshman that you're going to have to keep tabs of, Adrian Gadet. He came out here and would expect to see him at receiver.
I watched you coach the last couple of years, and I've always been impressed with your offensive line groups, the way they got off the football and the way they battled in the trenches. Are we seeing similarities to this group?
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, offensive line, I've been very blessed with coaches that have that mentality coaching the offensive line. Jared Duyon was awesome for me for 3 years at Kaplan, and that's the expectation he set and wanted them to do it. Coach TJ's here, a lot of the times I'll just tell him, like, hey, dude, you got it. Like, you know what you're doing down there. I don't have to, meddle in your stuff. But offensive line is a mentality thing. You got guys sweating. They're the hardest workers on the team. They got to fire off the ball low every time. They're not going to be the ones in the paper with all the stats. So just having that love for being tough is something that is very difficult sometimes to teach, but I've been blessed with some really good offensive line coaches.
Defensive side of the ball, Coach. 9 returning starters. That's a good start.
Yeah.
But we got to fill 2 slots, and those 9 got to take another big step. Are we going new scheme? Are we going similarities to a year ago?
It's going to be a 3 down front. Last year it was more of a 4-2-5.
So we do have the 9 back with experience, but now we're restarting.
Yeah. There's a little bit different scheme. Some of those guys, they're rule-based, are pretty similar. Coach TJ was the offensive line coach and the defensive coordinator last year. So sitting down with him and just kind of picking his brain on, okay, when y'all saw this, what did y'all do? And I think it's very important. Same thing with offense. We're able to tell them, okay, last year we called it this. This year it's really similar to this. We're just calling it this.
Yeah.
So having coaches return to be able to talk to me and be able to express to the kids, last year we called this purple. This year we're calling this blue. Type situation's been really good. I got a lot of kids that like to fly to the football, and that's why I say secondary. Secondary is important to us because a lot of those guys in the secondary, I think, want to be linebackers. They have no problem doing this. So just having those guys understand the scheme has been really big for us. But as far as coming downhill and hitting somebody, defense turns into football pretty quick, regardless of the scheme. So.
And the man you trust the most in the coaching world gets to call the shots.
Oh, yeah.
They're good. Special teams, Coach.
I'm sorry.
Special teams wise, it's been wet. I'm sure we ain't getting much punting and kicking in this summer, but from your mentality back in the game, if we got a shot, we're going for it on 2.
Yeah, and I think we're going to have a really good extra point kicker. A lot of the times what people don't see is it's not always the guy kicking the ball, it's the other 10 pieces, so we got to get a guy to be able to hold. We got to get a guy to be able to snap, and we got to get, 8 other dudes to block.
Yeah.
So I would like to get, a chance to where if we need a point, we'll go get a point, but I think it sets a mentality going for 2 that we can get 2 yards if we're doing everything we need to do.
Yeah. How often do you go back to the basics, Coach, even during the regular season?
I think it's important to have what we call everyday drills to where the kids know how important it is to stay doing the right things all the time. Sometimes it may be looked at as monotonous and we're doing the same thing or whatever, but I think when you have those everyday drills, it really gets into their brain how important doing the little things is all the time.
Coach, do you prefer shorter, high-intensity reps or longer teaching periods at practice?
I like when things go quick. I think attention span, kind of like we talked about earlier, is going down as the years go. I think kids can learn more by doing than listening. I think it's very important to teach, but with advancement of huddle, and we talked about film earlier, I like to teach more from film. Now, obviously, if we see something done wrong, we need to correct it. But I'm definitely not a guy that wants to be at practice and after every play we're talking for 45 seconds. I think all that needs to be sharpened up in endo, over film, that type of stuff. But the more we can get done and the more plays we can run and the more we can put on film, the better the offense is going to be.
How about your ideal tempo of a football game?
I think it kind of depends on the opponent. Sometimes I think it's better to kind of rev up the offense and go a little bit quicker. But it all depends really if we have 5 guys that start both ways and their offense just went on a really long drive, kind of giving that defense a break and see if we could grind out a few first downs is huge. I think when we play really explosive teams, we kind of need to match that with some slower tempo. But there are situations in the game where certain defenses will give us a front, and we know that play is going to work. And before they can adjust, just try to attack it as quick as possible to get points on the board.
A lot of guys at this school leave football straight into basketball, go into track, baseball, whatever sport they play. Multi-sport athletes, Coach. How important is it to you as a coach to see guys play multiple sports?
I can't say this enough, and I'm going to look at the camera when I say it. If you have a son or daughter out there that can play multiple sports, do it. You only get one chance to do it in high school.
Right.
And at a smaller school, if you're not doing that, then the program's going to suffer. I mean, there's just, to me, there's no reason you can't play multiple sports. I know people have stuff outside of school, but I really like to see kids that don't not do anything, because I think it's a competitive nature. If they're doing extracurricular and they're competing, I think that's super important. I think it develops not only the program but the kid, and just being able to go out in the world where when you're out there you're competing. I mean, you're competing against somebody every day. So just having that in you as a competitor, you should play as many as you can. And I'm gonna be athletic director this year, and just super blessed to be around. Every coach at this campus wants the same thing for their guys. Baseball coach had guys doing track and golf, and they were still able to start and be successful in baseball, and they understand the competitive nature of that.
Yeah. This football team, have they carved out their identity yet, or is it still to be determined?
I think it's still to be determined. This is the first year where I really haven't came in with like a slogan or a quote. But that was kind of on purpose. I just wanted to kind of happen naturally. One day it might happen. One day it might be as simple as, do right every day. So we're going to kind of let that happen naturally and see where that takes us.
Okay. Coach, this is not your schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You came here, the schedule's already done. Your thoughts on the schedule for this season?
I think it's very competitive. I think we could go anywhere from really good to not so good a record. I don't think there's any games where it's like we can just show up in our Delcambre uniform and not have to worry about our opponent. I also think there are a lot of games that are winnable. So it's really good to where we're going to be competing week 1 through 10 and not saying we can't do this time and we can not work as hard these weeks because we're playing these teams. So I got respect for every team we play on our schedule. I thought the previous coach did a really good job scheduling competitive games, so I'm super excited to see what we got.
Coach, you've been in 2 different divisions the past 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on Division 4 non-select bracket?
I think Division 4 non-select is really, to a lot of people, an afterthought, but with a lot of really good teams, especially at the top. They have some really good athletes, especially some schools up north. Right down the road, Jenneret's been a top 4 teams a couple times. Franklin's won Division 4 non-select in basketball the last 2 years. So it's very competitive, and it's a division where you can't get in winning 3 or 4 games. So you're going to have to do what you have to do during the regular season to position yourself to make a run. With that being said, I do think there's avenues and rooms for newer teams or non-traditional powerhouses to get in there with the right scheme and the right players and have some success.
Top 28 get in the playoffs. Are you a fan of the format?
I think so. I think there needs to be – I get what they're trying to do with it. I think there needs to be some competitive nature to getting in the playoffs. I think it was I could be wrong about the year, but there were teams getting in some years at 1-9, 2-8. I'd have to fact check my years, but there were even years teams were forfeiting the first round because of the travel and the record and that type of stuff. So I think making the playoffs needs to be a special moment for the community, and you need to earn your way in there.
Back home this year, had some time away, got back here. It's the best restaurant in town.
Ooh, right here, well, I'm hoping they got Dwight's being built right there, so I'm hoping that's really good. And then you got hot food, the hot food corner right there at the Texaco. They got some really good chicken tenders if you're interested in that.
The guys talked about those tenders.
Yeah, really good.
How do you go about teaching your players? Maybe they have not been taught this before, maybe they have. But the little things that matter on a Friday night, the education of the rules, sportsmanship, interaction with officials. How do you go about those type of things?
I think it's set from day one. You know, if you allow your players to not act the right way at practice and in the weight room and in the locker room, then they're obviously going to carry that on a Friday night. It's the same thing we tell them, you know, Friday should be muscle memory and having fun. So if you're doing those right things and you're listening to what we're saying and we're practicing the right way, there's going to be nothing in them to do the wrong way on sportsmanlike on a Friday night.
What traits of this team speaks out the most?
I think just their dedication to wanting to be better. I mean, you heard it. They all talked about the 0-10 year. They were all young when that happened, and just not wanting to go back, just wanting to keep building. You know, even though it was 4-6 last year, it's 4 more wins than the year before.
Yeah.
So just tasting a little success and being really close in some of those games. I think the trait is we want to do this for Delcambre, for the community, and for everybody, not only in the locker room, but in the area.
Smaller roster. Do you think it builds closer teams, knowing certain guys or even youth has to step up early?
Yeah, I think so. I think it builds you know who's next to you. You know who you're going into battle with. It's not much of a surprise on who's going to be the next guy up. And these guys, a lot of them have been together since they were this tall. So just the want to be great for one another is great. And like you said, with a small team, small staff, whatever, I think you get to know everybody on a more personal level,
Right.
Looking around. So,
what's the difference between a team that works hard and a team that competes every day?
I think sometimes it goes hand in hand. If you don't work hard with a purpose, it's hard to compete and win. I think a lot of people can line up and beat their head against the wall, but there also needs to be a purpose of why we're doing it to be able to compete in those games. You know, every team in Louisiana does summer workouts. So why are we competing, and what's our purpose of doing summer workouts, and how are we going to do it that much better to have an edge on those guys that everybody's doing the same thing?
Coach, how much freedom do you allow your kids for adjustments on field, for game-wise?
So far, learning the new offense, not all that much, but I think the freedom comes with talking to some of the guys and saying, okay, what are you comfortable with doing? What's your favorite route? What's your favorite? Talking to the quarterbacks, okay, what type of ball do you like to throw? Are you a big fade guy? Are you comfortable throwing a slant? Are you comfortable throwing a hitch? That way, I'm calling the plays, but they feel comfortable knowing that I'm listening to them and I can kind of adjust off of their strengths.
Win or lose, what would you tell this group after each game?
I think they're going to win or lose. It's all going to depend on how we do Monday through Thursday. You know, I'm always going to be proud of the guys. It takes a special kid to get out there in the heat every day, put on those pads, knock each other around. You know, it's not going to be that we're being lazy or anything else, but I think when you lose, you got to kind of talk to them about what we did right and the little things we can do to not lose. And then when you win, you can't just all praise and let them get comfortable. You have to let them know, like, okay, we won this game, but when we get there, we could have done this different, we could have done this different, to where we can take the positives and fix the negatives.
Once you reach success, don't get complacent.
Correct.
Coach, what values matter most in a program, even more than what a final score?
I think just having people that the value of seeing that we're going to work hard and try to do things the right way for our parents, our grandparents, and our fans watching the game. You know, just being a good person, being a good kid, being a hard worker, and just the value of people being proud of what we're putting on the field.
Talked about new helmets. Any new upgrades coming in the works?
We're in the works. We're most likely going to get new jerseys next year, but we went with the helmets this year. It's going to be white with the orange D, and we got the stripe and the black face mask.
Nice.
So the kids really like the new swag, if you will. But it's some really clean, some really fresh helmets. We got all new Speed Flex helmets. So every kid's going to have the same helmet. Nothing's going to really stand out, but it's pretty top-of-the-line helmets, so we're really excited about that.
What's the most rewarding part about coaching high school football?
I think the most rewarding part is just seeing the growth in the kids, talking to them, seeing the excitement that football brings them, and just having some sense of responsibility that you're the guy at the school that's making the community proud and doing the best you can for the school.
Your definition of what you expect a Panther football player to be?
Tough, disciplined, and just a good human being. One day going to be a good father and a hard worker. Just the type of guy that I can say, the young kids, you need to be like this guy because this guy did it the right way.
Coach, how do you want your players, in the nature of, how do you want them to see them as people and not just athletes?
I think that's a big, with football, I've coached basketball. Basketball, you can see a lot of the kids. You can see their face, you can see their body language, you can see what they're doing. With football, you kind of under that helmet, and it's more of a united, front, 11 people doing one thing at one time. So just seeing them as young men who came together as 40 kids to accomplish one goal, I think is just an awesome thing to think about.
Talked about this at the beginning of the episode, about a moment that you can recall on why you do this. Was it the Lakeshore year, or is there something else you'd like to share with us?
Just that, and I just think it was something God called me to do. My wife's been super supportive. I think one of the toughest things you can be as a coach's wife, just dealing with, some things you might hear in the stands, or, late nights during football season, or, the hours we put in watching film. So I think I always knew what I wanted to do, obviously, but just having that overall support from the people around me. If you talk to my friends, they probably couldn't imagine me not being a football coach. So just having a lot of texts, a lot of phone calls, a lot of encouragement kind of re-justified what I already knew.
What is your why?
My why is just to help other people. I think I love this job because it gives me a reason to get out of bed in the morning. I feel like I'm making an impact in some type of way on people, on young men, on students, on everything else. I feel like when I go home, I'm given the chance every day to maybe make somebody's day better, make a change, just impact somebody in some way. It needs to be the ultimate goal in this profession.
Your mentor in the coaching world?
You could say my dad and my uncle, but they're family. They've always been mentors of mine. The first guy who gave me a shot was Tommy Mitten. I would say outside of my family, that's been a huge mentor to me. He gave me my first shot at Central Catholic for 3 years. Let me run the defense over there, and he's still a guy I can call up and talk to, and anything I ever need advice-wise. Should I take this job? Should I not take this job? What do you think about this offense? What do you think about this defense? How would you handle this situation with a player or parent? So he's been really good about that. And then the good thing about coaching, too, you meet a lot of people. I wouldn't say mentors, but a lot of peers. Obviously, Brock Prejean is one of my best friends down the road. I talk to Travis Blaze a lot of the guys at Lakeshore. And then just getting older, being able to meet people, me and Coach Moy were arch rivals at one point, but I can talk to him all the time about whatever, we need for football. So Eric LeBlanc's been great at ERAT. So just kind of developing that pipeline of coaches around here has been awesome.
Most memorable game you've ever coached?
Memorable or best? Because that might be two different ones. But memorable, man, that first year, even though we lost to Abbeville, seeing all those people at Kaplan the first year for the Russo,
12-7.
yeah, was really, really special just seeing both communities out there. But
It just got posted recently
yeah,
whenever we did our top 5 games of all time.
yeah, that was a special
It
game.
came in at number 3 all time.
You know, it's crazy when you say that. Some of the games that come up aren't even win. The semifinal overtime loss to when I was at Vermilion Catholic to Washita Christian was a really memorable game. But the one that I think really moved me the most, we had a homecoming win against St. Martinville a couple of years ago at Kaplan, and then last year at Lakeshore, the second round against Iota was a 17-10 win, and just seeing everything come together was pretty cool.
What are you most excited for this season? What are you most proud of from this year's group?
I'm most proud. I'm most excited to start. I'll be honest with you. I'm most excited because it's not only football; it's starting school. I'm excited to walk the halls, meet everybody. You know, I've met a lot of the teachers. I met a lot of the kids through summer workouts, but just being able to get here in the halls every day, I'm excited about. What was the second one?
And what are you most proud of from this year's group?
I'm most proud that these kids haven't blinked an eye. Like, they've accepted me. It's not easy to say, okay, we're going to have a new coach. Who's he going to be? You know, I don't know if I like him. I don't know if I want to play for him. We've actually had more kids come out that were kind of on that fence of playing again. So I'm just really proud of how the kids, the parents, and the community have accepted me at Delcambre.
What's the message to the alumni community as we head into 2025?
Show up on Friday night, because it's going to be something that you're going to be excited to see.
Coach closes out today with the quote of the day.
Quote of the day, let's see. Get better every day. I mean, that's probably what we say, you know, most of the time. Every day, every rep, just take one step forward and get 1% better.
Final words before we get on out of here.
I just want to thank you for coming. I know you got a little drive from where you're at. I always appreciate it. And like I said, this interview kind of sparks the footballs coming. If anyone's out there is a fan of high school sports, not only Delcambre, it's a great place to, you know, learn high school sports, hear about teams. When you watch this show, you're going to see a really cool helmet wall in the background, and just super excited to have a guy that started with an iPhone and now has an empire going. So I appreciate you coming.
Coach, we've done it again.
Another one off the list.
Another interview, sitting down, talking some good ball.
Yes, sir.
Season, 58 days for you, 57 for me. It'll be here before we know it.
I got a question for you. LSU win total, over under, what you setting it at?
9.
9? I'm going over. I think this is the year.
You get to 10, you're in the playoffs.
Yep, you're right.
Ladies and gentlemen, head football coach of the Delcambre Panthers, Coach Corey Brody. Coach, let's end today's interview with Let's Break the Streak.
Let's break the streak. We'll be ready.
You're welcome at any baseball game.
That's the baseball coach.
I'm coming.
There you go.
But we had some great battles this year. Before we close it, we had some great battles with Delcambre softball, because you forget I coach high school softball at Port Barry.
Yeah.
So we opened the season with Delcambre.
They did really well. They had a playoff win this year.
Yes, we opened the season with Delcambre. First game of the season, we came play over here. That was a one-run thriller. And then they came to our field later in the season and kicked our butts.
They're doing a good job, Jane. Look, I got one more. I promised my man Blaze Smith last night at Knockhands that I'd give him a shout-out. So shout out to Blaze. Hope you're doing good. He's a huge fan of yours. He's always on, you know, commenting. So I hope he's doing well.
There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you everyone for tuning in, talking a little Panther football before Panther football season arrives. Coach, keep getting after it.
Yes, sir.
Set the standard and let those kids follow you and your staff, and can't wait to see y'all week 4.
Yes, sir. Thank you.